Um, but let's start with the most important subject, I think, that Ingrid mentioned initially when she gave her speech, and which is people. Um, and I think with all the technology and all the money that we've been talking, we've sort of forgotten the people somewhere. So back to the people over here and how we can use innovation and technology to build the people in our organizations, in other organizations, and overall just build organizations as a whole. Let me invite Sudha, who's moderating the session. She runs Encore, which works extensively on people development and organizational development, and how you can incubate and accelerate to grow these different organizations in the social sector. And invite the entire panel, which is going to be talking on people. So why don't we come on?
Awesome. All right, welcome back from the break. It's my honor and privilege to moderate this session on how nonprofits are leveraging technology to build their own capacity and the capacity of their impact change. Um, how do you solve humanity's biggest problems? Very intuitively, you'd say, make a rallying cry about it, right? Make it a global priority. If the proverbial log is a large one, then sharpen the axe, so build the capacity of the people that will work on problem solving. And then, of course, execute, measure, iterate. That's your intuitive design for how large problems around the world can be solved. And fair enough, the countries of the world have come together, created a rallying cry on first the millennial goals and now the sustainable development goals. The number one goal there is no poverty, right? The first SDG is no poverty. Uh, the rallying cry, we can argue about how much of it has pervaded through social consciousness. But the reality is that huge populations have moved out of poverty in the last 10, 15 years. Just economic growth and activity has brought great benefit to the top 3 quartiles of the population pyramid. But then when you look at the final quartile, and that's where the big problem of inequality starts to pinch a lot. You see, it's been excluded by market-driven models. It's also been excluded by government intervention. And that's largely the space of a non-government or a non-profit organization to go work in, right? To go to places where the markets and governments have not been effective. And in building the capacity of this layer, are we sharpening the axe enough? Has this layer been able to access capital, talent, innovation at the pace that it needs to effectively move the needle on the problem? And there the answers start to falter a little, right? We start seeing that this is a sector that has not leveraged the resources it could have or should have to the extent that was needed for solutions to outpace problems. Today's panel is amazing people that have shown how you can use technology as an arsenal, right? As an inflection point, as a means to kind of disrupt this erstwhile narrative of being resource-starved. How can you make your money go farther? How can you make it possible to attract people to join you? How can you solve all these different problems and unlock the full potential of your organization through technology? Starting off with Gaurav. Gaurav is the founder of and runs the Indian School for Development Management, bringing in talent into the sector. Gaurav has had about 16 years of work in the private sector. He's worked for impact funds, he's worked for the Premji Foundation, and now is singularly focused on making the development sector attractive to people from various different walks of life. Dr. Shankar Prasad leads the Sampoorna Swaraj Foundation, is an evangelist for bringing in technology into governance and therefore democratizing the way our panchayats function in a true manner. It's grassroots democracy at its best. For those of you who read the India Development Review, you must know Rachita, one of the founders. Um, a decade plus in the social sector, including doing some amazing work at the Dasra Girl Alliance, working with young adolescent girls and in maternal health and early childhood health. IDR now is a very widely read, popular media for the sector, showcasing great works, great work by very different, very committed, capable people in the different corners of the development sector and making it a forefront conversation. Sudha Upadhyayula, my namesake, works in a very different, very difficult problem area of human trafficking. Her foundation, My Choice Foundation, differentiates itself in how it's attacked a very difficult problem, overcome the taboos and stigmas around that work, and made it possible for people in distress to access resources that can alleviate their situation. She's also pursuing a master's in how we can institutionalize problem solving. So a doctoral program with this in terms of researching how we can institutionalize problem solving in this space. So as has been the format with the previous panels, I'll invite each one of them to make their presentation. Keep it to 7 minutes, and there's a timer out there that tells you when it's about time for you to wrap up your prepared notes. And I do hope we have a lot of time towards the end for Q&A. Let's make this as interactive as possible.